But let us not forget who saved democracy that day. We did.
A warning there from former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who helped save democracy from Donald Trump's onslaught and mob on January 6th by insisting the election results be certified that day, that our democracy is only as strong as the leaders we elect to defend it. Tonight, we'll hear from more House members who were there on January 6th. Congressman Jason Crow, who helped keep his colleagues safe while the attack was ongoing from the disgraced ex-president's supporters, and Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger, who bucked his own party to participate in the January 6th Select Committee and who helped to create an irrefutable public record of Donald Trump's efforts to cling to power by any means necessary that may very well have been the impetus for the Department of Justice to act. Joining our conversation, former Army Ranger, Democratic Congressman Jason Crow of Colorado. Congressman, let me show you some of this incredibly well-produced video that was put together just to bring people back in time to that day of January 6th.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
50 be advised, we're trying to bridge and get to the Capitol.
We have a breach of the Capitol! Breach of the Capitol to the upper level!
We can't hold this, we're going to get too many people. Look at this vantage point, man.
We're trying to hold the upper deck. We're trying to have the upper deck down. We need an area for the House members. They're all walking over now to the tunnel. We need to move down. If we lose any more time, we may lose the ability to leave. So if we're going to leave, we need to do it now. We lost the line. We lost the line. All MPDs, pull back. All MPDs, pull back to the upper deck. ASAP. Officers still remaining on the House floor, so we can secure the members on the other side. Copy. Get them up. Get them up.
They were peaceful people. These were great people. The crowd was unbelievable. And I mentioned the word love. The love in the air. I've never seen anything like it.
Congressman, in a presidency sort of overflowing with disgrace and norm busting, the effort to memory hole and distort the reality of what that day was like for the law enforcement, men and women of law enforcement who protected every Democrat and every Republican in the building is up there. How important is it to have this in the record as part of the conversation this week?
Well, Nicole, that footage really brings it back, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it still shocks me right now, just reliving that and seeing that. You know, I was an Army Ranger. I did 3 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I never in a million years thought that I would be a member of Congress trapped in the House gallery. Well, members of the Capitol Police were fighting to hold the line and to protect us and to protect our democracy. It just shows the danger, the true deep danger that Donald Trump poses, because to this day, as you pointed out, he wants to pardon those folks. He calls them patriots. It is sick. It is unacceptable, and we cannot allow it to happen.
What do you make of the effort to take him on by first shrinking him and reducing him? I mean, this video was really the first major presentation of this evidence of his what are now alleged crimes on that day. He's been charged with 6 crimes by the Department of Justice. And it is true that if he's elected, he will likely never stand trial for those alleged crimes.
You know, I view it a little bit differently. We're not the ones shrinking Donald Trump. We're not the ones minimizing Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the one shrinking and minimizing himself. He makes himself small by his behavior, by his depravity, by his lack of any understanding of service and leadership and compassion. He does that. We're simply the ones just pointing it out.
It's an excellent point. There's nothing that has to be done to Donald Trump to reduce him to sort of the foolishness and the pettiness that oozes from him. There's something remarkable. I've sat through every night of both conventions. I don't know that I wish that on everybody, but the idea that there's clearly more. They have so much to work with this week, right? So many elected officials, so many activists, so many important voices to get in. I was once in the Republican Party. I didn't recognize anybody in the lineup. There were no former presidents. There were none of Donald Trump's own former cabinet was there. I think only one of them is endorsing him. None of the national security voices in particular. No former national security official who saw him in any of those tank briefings or who sat with him in the sit room was there to vouch for him as a commander-in-chief. How much of an indictment is that in your view?
Well, what I think it is the reflection of two things happening. At the same time as the Republican Party, which has become the party of Trump, not the Republican Party from 10, 20, 30 years ago, but the party of Trump has shrunk themselves, right, and has pushed out for so many people and has become so insular that at the same time as that has happened, the Democrat Party has broadened its tent. We have welcomed people. We accept everybody. Under the roof of this center here, this is America, right? The diversity of thought, of opinion, of background, of experiences. We don't always agree. There's plenty of disagreement here, but we welcome that disagreement. We are confident enough to lead and be mature and have tough conversations and to be the adults in the room. It's two very, very different things going on.
Vice President Kamala Harris has garnered the support of so many Republicans and elevated them to speaking roles in this convention. And folks who speak directly to what you're talking about. I mean, Judge Luttig is there in Chicago this week. Michael Cohen is there. Olivia Troy spoke last night about being a national security official for Mike Pence, but being proud to support Kamala Harris. Adam Kinzinger speaking tonight. Jeff Duncan spoke yesterday. And Kinzinger and Duncan specifically saw the threat that Donald Trump represented on January 6th after losing the election and trying to overturn it. What do people need to hear from the vice president herself tonight about how she has earned all of this broad base of support?
I think the key point here, given what you just described, is that we are willing to step up and lead in a serious, fact-based way, right? This country faces a lot of challenges. The world faces a lot of challenges. This is a time for adults in the room. This is a time for leadership. And guess what? Nobody has a monopoly on being right all the time. But if you agree in basic facts, if you have basic values and principles, if you're willing to work with people collaboratively and work across the aisle in good faith, there is room for you here. And there is room for you in this governing coalition that we are trying to put together. Democrats, Republicans, unaffiliated. It is time for us to come together, find that common ground, just like I did with those men that I served with in Iraq and Afghanistan. We disagreed too. We came from different backgrounds, but we did great things because that is what America does. We find common ground. We come together to do big things together. That is what we're talking about this week.